what's the story behind AR? What's the story behind business? And when it comes to combining these two together, we know it's the future. We know business is going to be a standard regardless of where you are in time. But how is AR basically going to invent or disrupt different processes in businesses? How are people going to communicate differently? How are people going to interact with their foreign markets, or get people to visit them through their mobile phone, basically? You're tuned in on the buzz today with Kings and Tim. Stay tuned right here. We are with you till 3 p.m. and breaking down everything business, tech, entrepreneurship. Good afternoon, Kings. How's it going on your side?
Great over here, Tim. I will be honest, actually, it's actually very, very, very hot, and I am surprised I'm not melting yet. So, yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
incredibly hot over here. Like, we're enjoying some good weather. As you can see, I need to get a bit of a refill on my cold water. So,
definitely, absolutely. I mean, you
yeah,
need to
but
go ahead.
nonetheless, it's nice.
That's important, right? I mean, everyone tuning in, what he's doing is solving a ton of problems for himself. You could avoid headaches, you could avoid brain fog.
There
You
we
need to
go.
work out to avoid brain fog as well, and just keep yourself awake, keep some oxygen in your brain, right? Get
Exactly.
tired, just do a couple of steps up and down. That way you get some oxygen in your head, and if it's work, if it's studies, whatever you're doing, you're basically physically ready for it. So yeah,
Indeed, indeed,
it's
indeed.
that's important these days, like hands down. So I also watched this video on how Gary Vee talks about if you how important your health is for you to run your business, right? And this guy basically walks up in with his phone, and he shows the phone to Gary, and he's like, Gary, what's your take on being healthy and in doing business, right? And Gary's basically like, he pauses for a couple of seconds, and he's like, if you die, your business dies. It's I mean, it's important, right? At the end of
Yeah.
the day, you take so many things, people take so many things for granted, and it's only when you fall sick, or something happens to yourself, that you actually think, even if it's a cold, right? You
Yeah.
just look back and think, man, how much I actually took for granted the fact that I could smell my food properly, the fact that I could taste my food properly, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's so much that we take for granted, and anyways. But coming into another thing that we like to talk about, that Kings and I love talking about, it's AR. It's basically the future, and what is more important, how is it going to change your life, even though you know it or not? Like, it's coming. So just stay tuned, sit back, and just stay tuned into the show. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube. You can also download our app and stream with us wherever you are. So yeah, make sure you're tuned in on Relax Radio. Kings, what are we gonna basically break down today on the show?
So today we are going to be breaking down businesses that are waking up to the disruptive potential of AR, and the uses of AR and how it could benefit, or as it says, disrupt the business. We're also going to be looking into how to distinguish good business ideas from bad ones, and we're also going to be looking into how decentralized finance will transform business financial services, especially for SMEs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are important things, right? For anyone looking at increasing their net worth, any young entrepreneur, and anyone that is looking at, let's say, getting into business in general. So yeah, I mean, AR is the next wave for sure. AR, VR, but what's more important is, just like Facebook, you need to put your time in and learn about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
everyone, you tune in on the buzz. If you want to connect with Kings or me, you can basically call us up on 07852473473. That's right, Kings is pointing at the number right below.
There we
You
are,
can
right there.
also comment on the video that's also below here. Share this video with your friends, your family, anyone that could basically take value from this. Anyone that's in technology, your friends or family, just share the video, and we'll basically break down how there's hundreds of responses to an online survey that has been done by technology seminar analysis. And one stat of this says that 70% of respondents stated that AR would deliver either slight or significant industry disruption to whatever they're in. So let's say, for example, if you're in manufacturing, if you're in transport, if you're in media, if you are in, tell me something, if it's furnishing, if it I was just thinking furnishing, right? I saw this app, if it's design, or
Yeah.
if you're an architect, if you're an interior designer, you can
Yeah.
basically download this app. And let's say, for example, you have a piece of furniture, or let's say it's a cabinet, if it's a sofa, or tiles, wall tiles, wallpapers, and stuff like that. All you do is you basically walk into the room and you select what the item is, right? And it plants
Yeah.
itself on that wall. So you can, it's just like the Snapchat thing we spoke about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you want this wall to become, black or pink or whatever, I just had to point the phone towards it, and then I see it in that color. And,
That's
if I don't
crazy.
like the color, I just have to keep swiping through.
That's
So,
crazy.
if I want a cabinet to hang on here, I just have to, place the cabinet wherever, and then just look at what it is going to look like. It's crazy with the biometrics of the phones you get these days.
Yeah, this is sounding really insane. I mean, we are definitely, and most importantly, as I have said this how many times in probably the past weeks, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're sick of me saying it, but I'll continue to say it because it is literally happening. We are entering a very new technological age. We are entering a new technological era where we are seeing so many things that we never thought could be possible happening right before our eyes. Like a camera being able to change the display of, the color of your wall. We're also experiencing augmented reality. Now, touching onto augmented reality and within the uses of business, let's look at what augmented reality already is on its own. Now, you put on a pair of goggles and you can literally see whatever you want to see right in front of you. Maybe it's a Spotify playlist. Maybe it's just to look through a bunch of messages on your iPhone. Maybe it's just for you to be able to watch a YouTube video and nobody knows what you're doing,
Exactly.
You're completely enjoying whatever you want to enjoy. You could be watching the game. You could be watching NBA match, NBA highlights. Sat next to your favorite artists or your favorite celebrities.
Yeah, we're talking about quite a bit of we're talking about quite a bit of innovations, and if you want, I don't know, like you can. I mean, I just saw a story of you can now take pictures of yourself and just let the app make a bit more G, and you have all these already, and to basically take that, do animations with it. I remember a while back, right? If you were using Word, or you had this assistant on Microsoft that you could basically, if you did
yes,
pen holder, or you had a dog, you had a cat,
yeah,
you had a genie, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
now imagine having someone or something looking just like you, doing whatever you want. It's nuts, right? Like, things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
You know how excited you were about that back then. I think we are going to be as excited when we start seeing this stuff, right?
I'm pretty sure, because at the end of the day, one thing I know about whenever it comes to human beings, we always like something new. We always like to try something new. We see something new and we want to experience it, or we want to explore, We saw when Bitmojis came out and we were seeing ourselves talking to us from our phone screens. Everybody, like, it shocked the world, And then there was also the incorporation there was also the fact that it was also incorporated on Snapchat. And, it just blew everyone's minds. Now we have augmented reality where we can pretty much do, the possibilities of augmented reality are just like endless. And we could do pretty much anything we want using these goggles and visualize whatever we want to watch. We could be watching a film. We could be watching, I think we had pointed this out earlier, we could be watching a match where we feel like we have been immersed right there and then, It's like, even though we're not part of the match, we could be standing right there on the pitch watching everything being played right past us. Like, again, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think tomorrow we've got a cool segment that will be talking about the space hotel. By 2027, we'll be able to travel to space, and the International Space Station, the ISS.
Yes.
That's basically a satellite, like a hub in the space already. You get astronauts traveling there. every 3 to 6 months or so.
Mm.
Food is sent there because they have to stay in there. But
Mm.
people eventually will be able to go travel to that. That's the next level of space travel. Jeff Bezos is going to space today. So, yeah.
Ah, the day has
we can
finally
talk,
come.
yeah, man. We can talk about that as well. Man, it's crazy, right? When you start putting a sense of focus onto what's happening, it's nuts how much you can learn and how much is happening in the world. Yeah, you learn quite a bit because that's one thing I love doing about reading up or watching videos, because there's so much more to just what's happening in your house, right? And
Yeah.
it's so easy for even me to just get so focused into what I'm doing when I'm at home, but put in a bit of effort and try stay curious and learn about what's happening. You're going to get inspired, you're going to get motivated, you're going to learn so much. It's crazy.
And just like that, when you start getting inspired and you learn so much more about the stuff, that's how your knowledge begins to increase. And you find yourself getting roped into something you never even thought you would get roped into. Like you read just one quick article about augmented reality and think, oh, this is quite interesting. The next 2 weeks later, you own a pair of goggles, and now you've got all the latest updates for everything that you want to be able to try out using these goggles. Or you're having conversations with people. You could be in the US and you're having conversations with people all the way down in Peru, behaving like, literally having your own animated character as who you want to be.
That's so true. I mean, we're talking about, a whole shift in whatever industry you are in, like interaction with each other, and, just like, 70% of people have spoken about how sure they are about a disruption in their industry. We're talking about how this is a sharp increase from the previous quarter, where 51% of people last quarter had actually said that they were sure of this, but now this number has jumped to 70%, and 58% had become more positive towards technology in the last 12 months. Now, there's been 7 emerging technologies that global data includes in quarterly surveys, and only cybersecurity did better in the metric in the second quarter. So what we'll be doing is we'll be talking about how AR will change the perceptions of long-term opinions with people, talking about how the profile in the last year has changed, talking about how casual mobile gaming graduating into business tools, healthcare, logistics, like we spoke about a while back as well, e-commerce. We'll be breaking all these down for you during the rest of the hour. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you're locked in on The Buzz with Tim and Kings. We're going to jump into a quick couple of videos, but we'll be right back. Good afternoon.
the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you've got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account. And then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what has happened. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so with different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
We are back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to The Buzz on Relax Radio. We are your hosts, DJ Kings and Tim. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, make sure you sit back, relax, enjoy that good sun, and listen to the information that we have to tell you for today.
That's right. Thanks, Kings. We're also now talking about how AR, just coming back to the topic, right? We were talking about how AR will basically shift how so many people are positive. So many people, about 70% of people that have engaged in a survey have come back with a positive note or positive affirmance on how AR will disrupt whichever industry they are in. Now, there is a trend that has basically continued to 2021, from 50% to 70% of people believing that AR will impact their businesses or the communications, the operations in a significant manner, especially with the whole delivering of 5G to enhance so many technologies or communication formats. Now, AR holds a great promise for travel and tourism, and it can be added to travel apps to help consumers make travel decisions or use on city tours, in museums, other attractions to provide additional information to tourists. Now, I was just thinking, right? Museums. You go into, let's say, have you watched The Night at the Museum?
Of course.
Yeah. So imagine, you just walk into a museum, but then it's the basic thing. But when you wear your AR goggles, it
Yeah.
basically comes to life.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? That's actually wow. That would be so insane.
That'd
That
be
would be
crazy. Yeah.
so insane. Like, you put those goggles on, and everything that happens in night of the museum is literally what's happening in your front sight of vision. You walk in and you can see what's it, Tyrannosaurus Rex that was stuck in position starts moving and it looks at you, or you could probably see maybe a dodo bird just walking past, maybe down the hallway. Maybe a couple snakes here and there, cavemen. Who know? Like, who knows? Again, the possibilities are endless. I feel like it'll just be so mind-boggling to see all of this stuff happening in real time. Maybe you probably have that one. Maybe it's like you'd have that one. You might have just that one thought where it's like you are wearing the goggles, you see everything, you're like, huh?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have to switch
We're
between real
probably
life
gonna
and
walk into a museum and see people just going, "Whoa, whoa."
yeah, literally.
But yeah. So just like you have these earphones in museums that you can go basically plug it into whatever the artifact
Yeah.
is, and then that plays an audio of a narration of whatever you're looking at or observing.
Mm,
And yeah, I'm just saying now, this is a whole different scope in terms of museums, because for one,
mm,
I know museums have been losing a lot of money. They've been burning a lot of money, especially because of the pandemic and things like that, with people
mm.
not being able to attend.
Yeah.
And the audience is relatively older now. But if people want to learn, if people our age, for example, want to learn, we're just probably going to watch a YouTube video or something. But
Yeah.
how are museums really going to attract people like us? So I'm thinking, this AR, for example, if they make the experience more immersive, more interactive with what was happening in the past. I mean, you can watch a video of a dinosaur from home, but then if you see a thing running around making sounds and stuff like that, well, how different
Yeah.
would it be, right? So yeah, I'm just thinking, AR for one, there's, and that's just museums. I'm talking about, where
Mm,
we have to consider industries like healthcare, mobile gaming, business tools, and then even,
mm.
e-commerce and logistics. So, for one, I mean, Africa, for example, a ton of the GDP, a major proportion of the GDP is generated from tourism.
Yeah.
But that they didn't have last year. So they've shifted to AR interactions or interfaces with how people, spend for the African market or African
Mm.
exploring trips. So let's say, for example, 360 tour is done in a Jeep with a camera, just like
Yeah.
Google Maps the vehicles take. But then now what people can do is they can just go and they can just sit at home, put the goggles on, and look around to see the animals getting on the jeeps or whatever.
Yeah. Like, you see, even as I said, with augmented reality, it's not even just the case that the possibilities are endless, but it also opens up opportunity and create space for opportunity for other people to be able to experience things that they have never experienced before. For example, like in Africa, let's say for example in Nigeria, they've seen loads of different types of things that happen all the way in the UK. Like there's a lot of things that they haven't been able to experience. Maybe they want to get a look at their favorite player up close and personal, like
Yeah,
maybe stand right next to him. They could put those AR goggles on and be able to watch a match with Ronaldo as he dominates the whole field with Juventus. Or they could probably watch a match with Messi and see him playing his game and doing whatever he needs to do. Maybe there's other things where
absolutely.
they'd like to experience a concert and they are up close and personal with their favorite celebrity, whether it's Beyonce, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's Lil Baby, whether it's the Migos, all of them. So many different types of people. Like
And all
the
from
possibilities are
wherever you are,
endless.
right?
Yeah, literally. You could be sat at home and then you could just be, I mean, let's not get
This is
twisted.
just this is just so much to take in. It's just
Yeah.
that I'm just what I'm thinking. I'm honestly thinking, if I'm not involved in any type of business, to be honest, like if I'm not involved with any type of
Yeah.
business in these industries, I don't know. I mean, this seems super cool, super exciting. So, I definitely want to be a part of something in the lines of, AR or experiences like this.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel as though a lot of people would, especially if you really do enjoy technology, especially if you do have a lot of technology items within your home, especially if you are very invested within electronics. Like I feel like this would be a very good space for you to be involved in. Like using these AR goggles, for example, like let's not even get twisted now. Imagine like being able to enjoy your own concert from the space of your own home. And maybe some of your family members might think you're crazy because you're screaming when nothing's going on, but they don't know because you've got the goggles on, So it's like
Yeah.
they might look at you like, what? Why are you shouting for? Like, they might even be worried, but you've got the AR goggles and you're here experiencing a whole insane experience right from the comfort of your own home. And then
I'm
the
just
moment you
thinking.
take them off, it's just like, oh, I'm back home again.
Yeah, exactly. And like that whole experience, maybe you could sell it eventually as an NFT or as
Yeah.
a whole, you have a whole souvenir kind of operation going on there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it just opens avenues for so many things to be able to grow and flourish. That's why I look at this as it's a special kind of experience, it's a special kind of it's something new which kind of provides so much rather than takes away. So I want to touch on to the we spoke about how there were young school kids, where they said if they were to integrate AR into their training, most importantly, like in particular, they were talking about basketball, it would help heighten the kids' IQ because they'll put it into the form of a game and they'll play it into the form of a game situation. And one thing we
For
know
sure.
is that kids love games. So
Yeah.
you put that into a game situation, it helps heighten their IQ so then they start to think the same way they do in the game, and they display those skills on the court. They lead, they find that easy pass on the court, and
Oh, yeah,
it
for
literally
sure.
helps them develop their game by such a heightened mile. Like it probably
That's,
puts them up by
yeah.
50% above every other player. So
I mean, these are things like things you're talking about, Kings, right now.
yeah,
Like, let's say the times where Michael Jordan was playing or where he was learning basketball.
yeah,
If these conversations just came up, those would have just been hopes, and people might have just ignored people that would have spoken in these lines as well, because it
yeah,
doesn't seem too realistic as well, right? I mean, it wouldn't have seemed too realistic back then.
yeah. Of course not, because obviously back then, with the level of technology, we had only just discovered that there was signal within phones. That we only just discovered that we could be able to have portable phones. We didn't back then. I'm not even too sure how long ago we'd experienced like televisions and stuff, but televisions probably had come out a lot earlier then. But we'd only just discovered how to be able to have phones outside, like away from home. We still had
That
cell phones. We still had cell phones that had antenna.
exactly.
Like, of course they wouldn't. Of course, it wasn't necessarily believable. But just think. You see the caliber of Michael Jordan himself. You know what type of player he is and what he's capable of doing. Imagine now had technology the way it's moved so far forward now. Imagine we had augmented reality back when Michael Jordan had just started. Imagine
Man,
he'd incorporate all of that IQ and
man,
technology and everything right there and then. He'd be unstoppable. He'd
yeah,
literally be unstoppable.
it would be, such a dream to just get to that point. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be a dream to, maybe get, I don't know, it would be so much harder to get into the league right now.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think, now let's say, for example, I'm just thinking, right? Someone in the lines of, Giannis, he
Mm.
didn't come from the most, comfortable background.
Yeah. Yeah.
If him for one, he might have not been able to afford the experience or the
Yeah.
learning. But if you're I think, I'm just thinking long term,
Mm.
there will need to be programs that open opportunities for children that have a high skill or level of commitment to
Mm.
get this experience as well, because you could miss out on a ton of talent if it comes to just the IQ or stories like that. So I think, someone from a not, someone not fed with a silver spoon from, their small days. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of working hard, showing your skill consistently, and improving on it. And that's one way to it. But the other
Mm,
way is also through IQs. So yeah, I mean, you have both, I think, for sure. So I think
exactly.
that will, once it comes to that, once that comes to a standard experience or a
Mm,
learning necessity, schools, or let's say, these centers for sports will have to give that experience,
mm,
at either free of charge or at a certain, at a relatively low cost. And for it to come to that point, this is
yeah.
this is what I'm talking about maturity of the industry, where people, not just, individuals for personal, but for commercial purposes, will be able to afford and use it
Yeah.
more than, just, let's say, just like PS5, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And I completely understand that. See, um, obviously one thing I do want to point out as well is that if had AR existed back when Michael Jordan had just begun, and had AR been incorporated on a lot of basketball players, not just Michael Jordan himself, like I feel as though we would see the league now at a very different level of basketball. You see the way we
For
are
sure.
so like you see the way we are so shocked at the way the new generation is taking over. Had AR been incorporated many years back, the type of basketball we'd be watching today would be on such a different level. And even then, with their added skill set, what they're already adding to the league as we speak, even further. Like even further. Maybe they'd even learn how to like Trey Young already knows how to shoot from halfway. Had I don't know,
Exactly.
maybe if AR had been incorporated, he might even be able to shoot from 3 quarters of the way from the court with
I mean,
ease.
that we're talking about how, even if it comes to, the whole story of, um, AR and, Trey Young, that is a skill as well, right? So,
Yeah.
that's maybe inspiration from Steph, or, the
Yeah.
players that, used to shoot from
Mm,
far when he was young.
mm,
I'm pretty sure, him, Damian Lillard, even every time LeBron shoots, from almost the logo, a ton of the new generation or the next generation are
mm.
inspired a lot by this. And obviously, I mean, pretty sure you or I have tried to shoot half court shots, and it might not be the most idealistic to keep doing that during a game, but the
True.
skill is improving
True.
overall, and yeah, that's what's important.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, since we're on the topic of half court shots, I did manage to hit like three in a row on Sunday, so I'll just
No
put that
way.
out there. Yeah, man. But
Same
besides
time.
that, yeah, I try my best, man. I try my best.
Awesome, awesome. You should, man.
but
I mean,
but
yeah, you
yeah,
never know when that it is a skill, and you never
yeah,
know when it could come into come in handy when during a game or when it's
mm,
crunch time. It's we were talking about how you need to stay locked in regardless
mm,
of what happens in the game. The team can give up if it gets too frustrating, or the team
yeah.
can stop competing, and that's
Mm.
very dangerous for a team. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I would like to continue to touch on, especially with AR, seeing as that is the one conversation that has been on my mind for so long. Touching back onto the business standpoint as well, as how they say it could potentially be a disruption towards businesses. Looking into the article, they say that augmented reality is the most disruptive and emerging technology. According to Global Data Center Emerging Technology Sentiment Analysis Q2 2021, AR replaced artificial intelligence at the top of the list based on hundreds of responses to an online survey. So, moving forward with that, they say 70% of respondents stated that AR would deliver either slight or significant disruption to their industry. Now, I don't see why they believe it will
Yeah.
create a disruption, although, like looking into AR, all I see is just positives coming out of it. If they say it creates a disruption, I would feel as though it means that either people lose jobs, or like it kind of decreases the amount of laboral workers that are needed to be able to fulfill a job.
Yeah.
Because let me put it into perspective of we spoke about industrial design. So I did touch on the point of how architects are capable of being able to, draw out a plan, draw out blueprints in order to create a building, you know. with AR, when you incorporate AR, wait, let me look at just that. Take away AR first of all. We look at the blueprints made by an architect. We have the builders and the contractors that are there to be able to make this building happen, create this
Yeah,
building.
yeah,
And one thing that we've noticed is that it takes either, depending on where you are, to be honest, it takes maybe, let's say, 5 to 7 years to be able to get this building, completely constructed. Because, people tend to make mistakes. There's an over increased amount of money that goes over the cap or however much you're meant to invest. Sometimes because there are mistakes, money needs to be poured in more because
yeah.
of to
I think the
rectify
number
these
was
mistakes.
40%, right? That
40,
I think that 20 to 40% that number
yeah,
surpasses the particular budgets, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
happens
yeah.
about 50 to 70% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously with that being said, it's like, yeah, you have to put so much more money into this project because of mistakes being made. So now we incorporate AR. What AR does is now it pretty much just gives you an accurate view of what you need to make, how things need to go. It'll probably even give you the best match to how you should construct the building in terms of decreasing the amount of error that is involved in making this project happen. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
yeah,
So with that being said, AR will help even visualize, or even help to visualize what has been put on 2D paper into a 3D real life sketch.
oh yeah,
You'll be
for
able to
sure.
see the building standing right in front of you, how it needs to be
And
put together, what needs to go where, things like that. And with AR doing that, that will probably decrease the amount of duration of time that it would take to be able to, construct this project. Like
yeah,
it'll go down from maybe 5 to 7 years down to maybe 3 to 4, you know? And you can see that is a significant decrease in duration of time that it will take to be able to create this project,
yeah,
especially with no errors no and sticking to the amount of sticking to your budget cap that you have put towards building this project. So yeah,
I mean,
like
this is
yeah,
this could be an expensive investment for construction companies, architecture firms, for example, but they will be saving a ton of money there. And yeah, I mean, I don't see why not invest in it.
exactly. And the thing is, even if it is an expensive investment, even if it is expensive investment, look at it towards the future. You're paying big money now, but you are going to reduce the amount of mistakes made for this project and many future projects ahead of time. So you don't need to worry about having to invest more and more money. All of that money that could have also ended up being invested into the mistakes that were made or the errors that were made for your project. You could have all of that money saved to the side and put it towards something else. Maybe you want to keep it for yourself. It's completely up to you. But now you don't need to worry about errors being made because having those AR goggles pretty much minimizes that by who knows how much, because you get the opportunity to visualize what you want built. And on top of that, they show you the best way for it to be built.
Yeah, that
So,
for sure.
yeah.
I mean, it's a decent market. It's a decent approach to where people are looking at taking it. I definitely think there is a whole scope. The future is positive. The future is definitely going to go here,
Yeah.
because yeah, like you say, it'll be saving a ton. It'll be, and when you talk about not just designing, I'm just thinking, you can basically, if the, let's say for example, you have the 3D model in the head office, or wherever the architects or the consultants are based at. Let's say for example, the client, or you get another contractor to just do the plumbing, right? And they want to actually understand what the plumbing story is like. So what you do is you basically select, okay, show only the plumbings with the blueprint of the whole
Yeah.
whichever flow, and you can maybe zoom into it, you can zoom out. It's going to be super immersive. I personally can't wait to see what it's like. Three things for me personally that excite me, that media, architecture, and then again software. So these kind of things
Yeah.
I definitely want to be a part of in the future. So I mean, I'm super glad that you are also learning a ton of this, because it is the future, and we need to stay relevant. If we are about to ride this wave, it's the best that we learn about it before
Exactly.
we join it. So yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And as you said, it's best to ride this wave because, as you know already, as I know already, and I'm sure the majority of people know, technology is changing the way we live, and technology is being integrated in our lives like tenfold. Like, it is literally flipping our lifestyles to something a lot more digestible for us, making it easier for us, or literally just trying to revolutionize and advance our settings as it is. So one thing needs to be understood whenever it comes to technology is that you either learn how to ride the wave or crash with the water. So really and truly, it's entirely up to you. And those that refuse to ride the wave will end up being swallowed by the sea. So really and truly, it's either you adapt or get left behind.
100% there.
Yeah.
So coming into another break, just make sure you're tuned in. Pop up any questions you have for us on the whole AR conversation, integrating AR into whatever industry you have. Leave a comment down below, or you can also call Kings and I up on 07852 473 473. We are on the App Store. Our app is free on the Play Store as well. Make sure you download it. We're with you. We're in your head wherever you go. So stay tuned. We're going to be running into a quick couple of videos of who we are at Relax Radio. We'll be right back. Good afternoon. You're on the buzz.
But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, you've had one to forget, God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense.
They can't accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he might say to me, you had one to forget. That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
You know, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. I mean, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure. And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, and mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. That's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. I mean, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much it's changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no, if that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, I'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it.
Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. An inquest. I mean, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the break. You are tuned in to Relax Radio, and this is The Buzz. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got finance, business, entrepreneurship, and technology here lined up for you today, and we have really just been getting into the conversation of augmented reality, AR, talking about business and how it's just going to revolutionize your lives. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of tea, tell a friend to tell a friend, and tell a dog instead. This is The Buzz.
That's right, everyone. Now we are coming into the last talk segment of the day, but with Kings. But then, we will be back for more around decentralizing finance, and then talking about distinguishing good business ideas versus the bad. Also, we will be coming in with a cool couple of updates on Blue Origin taking to space today, tomorrow with Kings. But if you're not tuned in today, make sure you are locked in tomorrow, 12 to 3 p.m. Kings is with us from 1 to 2. But now coming in the lines of coming back to how despite the increased interest in AR, the growing perception of how AR will disrupt industries. There are a lot of global data sentiment analysis that also sound a note of caution, because AR will disrupt industries. Respondents will have to be more cautious. Most respondents in the second quarter that said that cybersecurity and cloud computing are already disrupting industries. Only 27% said that the same about AR, but only 10% think that the disruption will come within the next 12 months.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a quick shift, quick change up that people are looking at. And, when you're looking at a couple of stats, there is a 68% cloud computing impact that where the technology will live up to all of its promises. 5G is expected to be only a 50% of what it will promise, but then AR is so far only about 26% of what it promises. So we are looking at quite a few things in the lines of Internet of Things, blockchain, AI, and so on and so forth. But so the to conclude with this, I think global data quarterly emerging technology says that sentiment analysis of the second quarter in 2021 is based on 6 polls that have received 2,341 responses from participants that will work in more than 30 business sectors. I think that's a decent take of people. I mean, it can be different industries, different countries, different ages. These all have to come into factor if you're taking a stat like this, right? Because we need everyone's opinion in terms of what their take is on AR and where they think the whole AR conversation is going to go, or even impact their current livelihood.
Indeed. That is a very big. That is actually a very decent pool of people, like a very decent group study of data to be able to collect opinions from. It's decent enough because it's quite a large amount, although it's not massive. It doesn't contain every single person around, we'll say maybe not a country but the world for that matter. But these are people that work within business sectors giving their own opinion towards it, so it is understandable and it does make sense. So even looking at the data that was stated on this article saying that augmented reality only reaches a staggering 26% that will live up to its promises. Meanwhile, 50% of it shows that the technology is only hyped, but they can see a use for it. Okay, Meanwhile, the only remaining 12% is saying that it's all hype with no substance. I mean, if I'm honest, that 50%, although I understand where the hype comes from, because I won't lie, I myself am quite hyped for this piece of technology, and I know so are you. It is quite hyped indeed. Like, there has definitely been a lot of speculation involved around augmented reality and what it can be able to bring towards people's lifestyles. So it is understandable. But along with being able to still see the use for it, that's the most important part. Like, that is the key factor there. As long as they can see the key use for augmented reality and what it's able to provide, then that's where we've hit the nail on the head. You understand? So, like,
Yeah,
saying
sure.
that it's all hype and no substance, you know, I mean, I feel as though they haven't really looked at the bigger picture behind it, especially when it comes to this piece of technology, because it can definitely do so much for people. Not to mention businesses alone, just people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100%. I completely agree that we're looking at a whole shift in terms of where industries are going to go. Like we said,
Yeah.
it's like how the traditional mobile phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, with the mobile
Just how
phone,
the traditional mobile phone, with the button,
yeah.
came and went, and now, that's it. 95% of mobile phones that are manufactured have the full screen on it, and yeah, if at all, I'd say the rest are coming out with foldable screens, curved screens, or double sided screens. So technology is going to keep changing, and it's I think this is the next. I think this is the next step or stage of what mobile phones will be like, or the interaction that people have with mobile phones will be.
Yeah. You say what the next step will be when it comes to the next step of interaction when it comes to mobile phones?
Not just mobile phones, but then whatever they're doing with mobile phones. Like, let's say, for example, if you're wearing these, I was actually traveling last Saturday, right? I was out of the city, and I had to go. I was actually house hunting with one of my uncles, and we had this location that we had to get to, and I was basically in the front using maps, and I was basically Google mapping, and you have this option of where you can view the road with your camera.
Yeah.
It's so much more immersive. Example, you keep the camera, you keep the phone on a tripod, or on a stand in the car, and the camera's facing the road, right? It's like you can see the road, just like in the Tesla screens, you see the road and whatever is around. And let's say, for example, you come to a Y junction, just like Google Maps usually generally shows you the lines, right? But here it shows you the lane, it shows you an arrow, and it tells you actually where to turn. It's so much more immersive, honestly. And once it comes to a point where people are just wearing glasses, and the glasses know how to maybe you might not need to type at one point. You might just have to just read out what you want to send it, if it's a message or whatever.
Verbal communication.
Exactly. And this is not just vocal communication with your calls. This is communication with what you want to type. Or message. So on and so forth. And then even push it to what if you're scrolling through Instagram, let's say, for example, you can maybe how you have had the over the ear headphones. So let's say, for example, you want to keep swiping down, you can maybe do something like that. Or I mean, it's going to be completely immersive if you have a joystick, or if you're just going to have to look into a certain point, and then that maybe that item, that app opens up. I don't know. I mean, we're looking at a whole different change here. We're looking at a big shift in technology, and
Yeah, exactly. And seeing this whole huge shift in technology is based, yes, as I've mentioned already earlier, having this whole shift in technology is literally shifting lifestyles as we speak, and it's shifting lifestyles at a rapid rate. So looking into the augmented reality and how it can definitely help incorporate so many different lives, change so many different lives. And, like from this piece of data, yes, I can understand where the hype is coming from. because obviously we can see all of the things that it's able to provide for us. But that's the part of it. You can see the use for it. Yes, there's hype, but we can see what it is able to provide. Like, not necessarily the people that have just said it's all hype and there's no substance. You know, I feel as though we need to literally be able to test it first before we can have any judgments on it. So, as hyped as it may be, yes, it still very much has its own it's the hype. I feel as though it may live up to the hype. I feel as though it will be able to live up to the hype. So it may
Yeah,
have
I
hype
don't.
that
I don't
it
think
will live
it'll
up to.
only like live up to the hype. I think it'll over deliver, and we are still underestimating what it's going to be. So yeah, I'm super positive. I think the whole scope for it is, it's just out there. It's just a matter of time till we learn what is actually in on it for us. So yeah, if exciting times, exciting news. If you are interested in this news, make sure you're tuned into the buzz. Make sure you ask questions. This is Kings and I talking about everything business, tech, entrepreneurship. Tomorrow can be the last day we talk about basketball for the year, but um, I'm either I'm going to be thrilled or I mean I'm open to it regardless. So because I'm open to the Suns winning it as well. Because for
Yeah,
me, it's an additional day of basketball.
that's
That's
true.
pushing it to Friday. And I love the sport as well. The competition is what I love, and yeah, I think it's a super time to heads locked in and things like that. But
Exactly.
whoever
Yeah.
wins, it's going to be a first after ages of first time for so many players.
Yes.
So yeah,
It would be a beautiful thing to see, and I cannot wait. I just wish I could be able to watch it. Sadly,
yeah.
we've all got lives, man. We've all got
Yeah,
lives. You can't
man.
stay up.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I mean that. See, one thing that comes right. I mean, This question comes across for me on a daily basis. I think when you're dedicated to something, when you're working, multiple jobs,
Yeah.
you have to have friends, right? We are social creatures.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. Yeah.
at the end of the day, no, I could easily go chill with a couple of friends, stay up all night, watch the match as well. But I'm not because just like you said, we have lives, and
Yeah.
if it
Exactly
came
that.
to the other way around, it's not like if you were playing a game, Giannis would stop everything he's doing to just watch you play. Right? They're not paying your bills at the end of the day. You have your
Yeah.
responsibilities. It's important that we need to know that even if it's our closest friends, they have their own lives going on, but our priorities are set in a way where we have to respect them and understand why they are priorities for us, and eventually get to that point. So it's just a train of mindset, and yeah, I mean, you can always watch the highlights. Just wake up to the bad news and yeah, go on with life.
You said the bad news. You said the bad news. Oh, stop that, man. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's going to game 7, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to enjoy this game on Sunday. It's going to game 7.
Can't wait, can't wait. I'm excited, man. I'm honestly excited. But
That's a
yeah,
man, man.
with that being said, we're gonna be wrapping up the segment with Kings. Kings, it's as always, it's been a pleasure spending the hour with you. Hoping to see you tomorrow with good news and good vibes for everyone tuned in, and
Yeah.
even the basketball fans listening in. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Relax Radio. You're tuned in to the Buzz, and Kings is just about to head out, but make sure you catch him tomorrow, 1 to 2 p.m. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.